part of the Another Realm Media Network. Coming up in this episode.
I was able to help him move on to the light because I can help spirits move on to the light. I can tell the spirits to close your eyes and envision a bright light, and they will in some cases. And I say, now when you see that light, I want you to walk towards it and don't look back, just keep walking. And you got family on the other side that's waiting for you, and it works. I mean, I help them move over, cross over.
Yeah, I've actually I've done a little bit of that myself over the last couple of years. And usually, I equate it to the body, right? When the body dies, the energy that's released with the death of the body itself, that's the energy they're supposed to use to travel to the other side. But like you said, they don't realize they're dead, or they don't want to go, and so they stay here. They miss that opportunity. So instead, they need some energy release from someone else. Welcome to this episode of Mysterial Experiences, where we delve into the heart of mystery and the ethereal. Today we invite you on a voyage through shadowed realms of the unexplained. From spectral whispers to cosmic enigmas. Join us as we explore tales and phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality, in a quest to uncover truths hidden in the fabric of the extraordinary. Prepare for a journey into the unknown, where each revelation is a step closer to unraveling the mysterious. Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Mysterial Experiences. I'm your host, as always, Josh Rutledge, taking you on this journey to try to understand what these experiences are and why they happen specifically to humans. I have never heard of a case of a human being abducted and they look over and on the table next to them is a dog or a cat or any other animal. So I don't even know if abductions or any of these experiences happen for any other animal, any other life form on the planet other than humans. And so I have to wonder if there's something specific about humans that they're happening for. You might listen to the ideas of Dolores Cannon or others and say, well, they're here to help guide us, or to help us understand the path that we're on and the things that we're here to learn, etc. But at the end of the day, I don't know, and so that not knowing is what has led me to start this podcast and to talk with people and understand their experiences, their ideas, their theories, etc. So for the show for today, we have Chris Harmon, who is a UFO investigator, a paranormal investigator, a psychic, does psychic healing, and he is with the Something Wicked Paranormal Investigations. You can Google that and come back with their Facebook page, their YouTube channel. They've got some pretty interesting content on there as well. And so we talked to Chris today about his own personal experiences, what got him into doing these, pursuing this path, and then kind of some of the things that he's encountered along the way with doing the investigations that he's done and working with people from a psychic perspective or meditation, etc. So make sure you stick around and hear what Chris has to say. We get into some pretty interesting conversation. Again, just a reminder, if you have had an experience and you would like to either come on the show and talk about it or send me the experience and I'll read it aloud to anybody who's listening, you can email me at Josh Rutledge, that's RUTLEDGE, at mysterialexperiences.com. Great. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So thanks for sticking around after the break. We've got with us a guest, Chris Harmon, who is a UFO investigator, a paranormal investigator, a psychic reader, and we know each other through the Madar network, which, for those that don't know, Madar is a nice little box that you set in your house, and it monitors continuously for data that may be indicative of a UFO experience. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Welcome, chat. Welcome. Glad to be here.
So, as the name of the podcast implies, mysterious experiences, looking at anything that really the world considers outside of the norm, or paranormal, UFO-y. There really isn't a word that encompassed all of it, so I created one, mysterious. So given that you've said UFO investigator, paranormal investigator, psychic reader, sounds like you've got stuff across the gambit.
I do. I work multiple areas of MUFON in the ERT as a abduction counselor. I work as a STAR team member and a field investigator as well. I do paranormal investigations on television. Our show Something Wicked, which can also be found on Facebook and YouTube as well. And I work as a psychic reader and a psychic healer. I do healings for people as well as finding lost items, people, different things, whatever I'm hired for.
Okay. So, obviously, across those different things, since you've gotten involved, you've probably had more experiences. But can you think about it, maybe like one of your earlier experiences that led you to be interested in the area?
I guess one of the earliest experiences I had was as a child. I used to have these beings that would come in, and they would be near my I say the foot of my bed, or some cases I felt like they were hovering over. But I was too scared at the time as a child to look at them, and it wasn't until years later, as I was a little bit older, when I was able finally had the courage to turn around and I saw one. Um, and come to find out, when I looked at it, it was not really that scary at all. It looked just like you and me sitting here. It had its head cocked, and it had its like a smile on its face, kind of a clown type smile in a way,
Mm,
kind of. And that's what when I saw that, I realized there was nothing to be fearful of. And I was never harmed during any of my experiences growing up, and so most of my experiences were quite peaceful. I mean, other than the fact that I had a fear of what was there, but as I got older, I overcame that.
right. I mean, what we fear, we destroy. And I'm glad you didn't go the route of, hitting it with a baseball bat or anything that you may have had in your room at the time. Um, do you how did those experiences that you had as a kid, I mean, obviously it left you with an intrigue about what this is, but is there anything else that it really changed about you personality wise? I mean, you look back, was there something that you behaved one way, and then once you had that experience you behaved a different way?
Well, yeah. Coming to find out, because I tried to have a career as a professional photographer or even a musician, different things, but I failed at all of that. I continuously failed. The reason why I kept failing was because the ETs, the extraterrestrials, were trying to get me to understand that I had the ability to help others. Because I could fail at trying to have a career, but I would always succeed at helping other people. And it was weird because I would always be in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's choking, somebody's getting ready to fall over, somebody's having an accident. I would always be in that right spot at that right place at the moment something would happen. And I thought it was kind of weird that I was in that place at the right time, constantly, but yet I was also upset because I could not have a career, and I would try so hard. And finally, one day, how things changed was I kind of began to think maybe my job on Earth is to help other people, because that's what ETs do, is they help other people. Or
Mm-hmm.
I began to think maybe that was what I was supposed to do in life. So one day I was looking up into the sky, and I made a promise to the ETs and to whoever could hear me up there. I said, I'll make a deal. I said, if you let me have a career and do all the things I want to do, I promise I will never stop helping other people. I'll always put that first. And when I said that, instantly my career took off. I got a call from the Travel Channel to do a television show. I became a professional photographer and became a paranormal investigator. And through the paranormal investigations is where I learned about MUFON. And then I got involved in that. And because of the experiences I had growing up as a kid, it has led me to being where I'm at right now.
Mm. Did you, I mean, number one, congratulations on finding your purpose and following your purpose, because I really think that that's something that we're all here to try to figure out. And many people go their entire lives without really understanding what their purpose is. And I also think that, just to throw it in there, that I don't think your purpose is not you specifically, but just people in general. Their purpose is necessarily to, like, if it's to help people, it's to be a doctor, right? In your case, you're helping people without being in the medical field, right? So I think that there's a way that you can find your purpose and do things that still scratch the itch that you have. If you're a technology person, or if you're a software person, or if you're a people person, you can do the things that still fulfill what you're here to accomplish as your purpose. So, congratulations on finding your purpose. Secondarily, is there I talked to a lot of people, myself included, that went through a phase where maybe as a child you were interested, you were intrigued, you were really wanted to know what these things were, but then life got in the way, or your parents told you you had to grow up one day, um, and so you kind of push that the magic, I'll say, you kind of push that down, and then later on in life, when you are given the opportunity to kind of explore it again, then it all just kind of comes rushing back in, and you're trying to put together a 10,000 piece puzzle, while also juggling while you're driving in a car going down the road or something. So I'm just curious, did you have that experience, or did you pretty much keep the magic, in place throughout your entire life?
I know, of course, I've been in the grocery business for 25 years. I started there right out of high school almost, and I still work there a few days a week just to help out. Of course, I reach a lot more people if I help everybody everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that pleases the ETs. They haven't never let me down, but yeah, I've had people, even my parents, a few times that have thought that this was nonsense work. That that I'm being fed a bunch of lies and make believe stuff on ETs and ghosts and all that, but they've never had an experience that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
And but now they're starting to come around and realize that this stuff is real because of people I work with, and of course all the help I am,
Mm-hmm.
and doing all this psychic work and psychic healing. Everybody is starting to realize now that this is a profession, like a job, and they realize that I'm really doing a great deal to the whole world. Yeah, really.
Mm-hmm. And so, in that regard, do you feel like you are gaining the respect back from your peers that maybe you had lost before, or maybe that doesn't matter to you? Just curious.
Oh yeah, it has gained a lot more. People have turned around and started speaking to me a lot more, because before I did all this, people would just looked at me as just a guy that would I guess you could say bag groceries in a way.
Mhm.
And
Right.
since I started doing all of this work years ago, people have now that didn't like me are now coming around asking for help, asking for friendship, and so on and so forth. It's opened up a lot more doors and made a lot of people turn heads and start recognizing stuff that they didn't
Yeah.
see before.
So real quick, I want to take a quick shift. This is a little bit on a personal side for me. I'm currently looking through, or actually just finished up reading the MUFON Field Investigator Handbook to go towards the path of becoming a MUFON Field Investigator. And me, personally, the I'm having a really internal struggle with, how do I tell someone that what they experienced was a satellite, or Venus, or whatever the case may be? And knowing that as a field investigator, you have to come to some sort of conclusion. Is that something that you struggled with, or still struggle with, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, a lot of times when you're interviewing witnesses, it doesn't matter. They may have saw a satellite, or they may have saw a plane or a bird, but thought it was a UFO. And in most cases, of course, we as field investigators, we want that to be a UFO because we like to
Right.
investigate, the real thing. And then even the people that have had the sightings, they're excited too, just like we do. I mean, and so sometimes, it kind of breaks your heart to have to tell somebody, sorry, sir or ma'am, that, what you witnessed turned out to be nothing more than a satellite up in space, and here's the research I done on it, or
Mm-hmm.
what you witnessed happened to be a continental air jet or something, going northeast, what have you. And of course, you show them and explain this to them. Sometimes they feel like, well, I know what I saw, and it wasn't a jet. But then other times, it's like, Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I kind of thought that myself. Or when you speak to them, and show them, let them know how you came to that conclusion by the research we do, like going to websites like Flight Radar is a good place to
Hmm.
identify planes from the area. There's different places you can go, but once you explain it to them and let them know, how you got to the conclusion, they seem to understand. And in some cases they don't, and they don't want to speak to you after that because they think you're wrong. But of course, you can't help, those that don't want to believe that it was a satellite or whatever.
I guess by where I am is if the whole taking away the MUFON aspect, right? If the whole idea of people having experiences is to cause them to kind of question the nature of their reality, right? Let's assume that that's the purpose of aliens or whatever is controlling the craft. If they're doing these things to get people to see them and have the experience and say, "Wow, there's something bigger and than whatever I've got going on in my life right now. Maybe I should really think my priorities or whatever the case may be." Does it matter if it was truly a satellite or an airplane? If it still causes the person to have the reaction of, let me think about my priorities, my reality, so on and so forth, to maybe live a better life or help somebody. I know MUFON is there to understand and solve cases, but on the flip side, if I think that I saw a UFO craft, even though it 90% chance it may have been a satellite, if I think it was a UFO craft and I go off and improve my life situation some way, what does it matter if it was actually a satellite or not?
No, it doesn't really matter as long as you're let's say you saw a satellite, the fact that what you thought you saw might have changed your life perspective because maybe you thought you saw a UFO and it really made an impact on your life, or made you feel inspired, or maybe it made you feel upset. And then we as investigators find that it was a UFO, that it was just say a satellite or a bird or something of that
Mm-hmm.
affair. The fact that it changed your life, we're going to be there to help you get through that. And in many cases, I would work with a person for a couple of months even just to get them to understand what they went through is okay, that we're here for
Mm-hmm.
you. And of course, they were going to explain to them that even though, you might have just been a satellite, but we're there for you. We
Mm-hmm.
never turn anybody down. We're always there no matter what.
And so that kind of gets into your work a little bit, I think, on the STAR team, right? So can you take just a minute in case nobody knows what the STAR team is and explain what that is?
Yeah, well, it's our team, and we also have a group, the ERT, Experience Resource Team. And what we do in that aspect, that area, is we help people who have been through abductions. They're traumatized, they're hurt, they've had maybe several encounters throughout their life, or maybe this is new to them. They just now started having encounters, and so they want answers. They want somebody who's going to be a compassionate listener, somebody who's going to be able to understand what they went through and help them cope with that. And maybe they might, in some cases, they're not for sure if we're going to believe what happened to them, because to them it is so profound or so earth shattering that when we first speak with them, sometimes they would say stuff, and even to me, like, you may not believe what happened, but I'm going to try to tell you the best I
Mm-hmm.
can, hope you understand. And so I speak to them, let them tell their story, because mainly what we do in ERT is we just listen, let them explain themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes a few phone calls to get them to finally get the courage to tell us. But when they do, we let them know that, yeah, I've worked with people like that before. I'm still working with people that
Mm-hmm.
have had the same thing. In a lot of cases, I've been through what a lot of people have been through, and so I can relate to them, and I get them in such a calm state because I have words of passion and able to understand them. And within just a few weeks, they're now so calm and relaxed that they are no longer afraid because I help take the fear away.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have gone through so much that the fear, it is not going to leave their body. Their fear is like embedded into them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can give them. I do kind of like psychic work, but I do meditation, and I write them out of meditation. I give them some certain music to listen to, and I take their their thoughts and put them in a happy environment. Like let's say I'm working with a female, and her favorite thing is the beach. She loves the beach, the ocean, the waves, the water. It calms her. So I write her a meditation that she can read at night or even during the day if she's home, and transport herself to that beach
Hmm.
and completely get her in a different environment where there's no fear, there's no harm, there's no negativity. And I've had people that have wrote back to me, even to this day, still contact me and say how pleased they are because since I gave them that meditation, they no longer have the encounters. Maybe they do, but they're in such
Right.
a different state, they're no longer experience it.
Right. It's kind of like there's a documentary out there called "What the Bleep Do We Know," and there's a section where they talk about how the Native Americans who were in the United States, of course, then not the United States, but when they first saw the first European ships, that they probably didn't even see them. They probably blinked them out of their minds because they looked like something that their minds couldn't process. They could no longer even fathom what they looked like. And so it's, I think it's very probably true that as we have experiences, the mind is constantly trying to protect us. We of course we see that in the psychological world and counseling and such, that you go through trauma, you all of a sudden you miss 3 years of your childhood. You just can't have any memories of it. It's because you probably went through some traumatic event and your mind is protecting you from that event, so you no longer see those things. And so I think that in a very real way, even though extraterrestrials probably don't mean to have that happen, it still happens. And so the mind protects you from those things that you see. And so all of a sudden, years later, you have another experience and that brings those things back up again. It can certainly profoundly impact your life. And I think what you're doing to offer them some, number one, care and understanding that these are happening to all kinds of people. I mean, it's not like you can look at it and say there's a specific demographic that is alien encounter demographic. I don't think that exists. And then secondarily, to say because it's happening to so many people, you're not alone, and we can help you work through this instead of just running away from it. It almost triggers that fight or flight activity, and so many people want to run from it, but instead, let's stay and try to figure out what it is and if it's really fear worthy.
Right. And in some cases, there's so much fear embedded in a person who has been through this that it takes years for them to fully get over it. But of course, with my help, I try to make it as painless and help them get over it as quick as possible. But if they don't, but there are even some cases where people, they don't have any recollection of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They know something happened because they saw the ship, and then next thing they know, it's now 5 o'clock in the morning. I've worked with people that have had 9 hours of missing time, and they're not in fear of so much of the fact they saw the ship. They're in fear of what happened during those
Right.
nine
What
hours,
happened? Yeah.
and and then that can be very very traumatic because now they're in fear that what if it happens again, and has it ever
Right.
happened before, and they just didn't realize it. That's why we in the ERT we help take that fear away, and even just MUFON in general. We doesn't matter if you're in the ERT or if you're just a field investigator. You want to make that person feel as safe and secure as possible
Mm-hmm.
at all times.
It's interesting because you're right. I mean, I think that probably the fear more than anything is that the fear that for somehow we're not controlling some aspect of our life, right? That we feel like we have to have control of all parts of our life. And so if there's this thing that's happening that we're not in control of, that's probably what we fear more than anything is the loss of control, not so much the thing that's actually happening. And so I have heard from some people that say that, they've actually gone through a situation where they've asked, the contact to stop, and it has. Where there's somewhat of a um, relationship that's established between the extraterrestrial and the human person that enough respect is said, you've opted not to do this anymore. We're going to respect your wishes and we're not going to do it anymore. And so I'm just curious if you've encountered that as well.
Yes, I've had some individuals I've worked with where they have. they have asked for the contact to stop because they contacted me looking for assistance because of what they've been going through. And I told them, you can always, tell them, you do not want these encounters to happen anymore. And I tell them, you need to send them not only a telepathic message, if you can, but actually say to them, you do not have permission to be here. Please end this, you know, um, contact because some people, and they've been told this by the ETs, that when they first started the abductions, that they had signed a contract saying that we have a right to take you numerous times, but you can tell them you want that contract broken, or if you're not having any contracts, but you want the contact to stop, and you can tell them, please don't take me anymore, or just say it to them, or in telepathic messages, let them know you cannot take me anymore. I want
Mhm.
this to end, and they will. In most cases, they will. If they don't, then we take further measures.
Like lead underwear or something. So no, I'm just joking. But I think that but bottom line, there is an opportunity, I think, for people to take control of this aspect of their life that they don't feel like they have control over. And I think that's probably true of most aspects of the metaphysical, or as this podcast has labeled it, the mysterial. And so, talk real quick about your experience. So we've spent a lot of time talking about UFO and alien and extraterrestrial. Um, but you've done a lot of stuff on the paranormal side of the house, so the ghosts and spirits and things. Any experiences that you want to share in that regard?
Yes, I've had several experiences, not only on television with our show, Something Wicked, that can also be, you can find our show on YouTube, Facebook, and television. It's called Something Wicked, Paranormal Investigations. But I've had, myself, just in general, I've had personal experiences. I've had what I would consider um, like an evil presence that was in my home that took advantage of me at one point. I think it followed me from because we live out in the country, we live out in the field in the
Mm,
country, and I think it followed me inside, and it got a hold of me and gave me some terrible thoughts for almost
mm,
24 hours. I mean, I was in the worst mood you could imagine, and I thank God and pray and thankful to everybody. Nothing happened because of what I was experiencing. But I've been threatened. I've had been pushed, shoved, you name it. During one of our episodes that we filmed, we had a spirit that was so negative that he literally took a Bible that was sitting on top of a television stand, and he threw the Bible across the room. Luckily, nobody was in the line of sight. They would have been hit because this was a relatively thick Bible. We're talking like 600 pages or so.
wow.
But um, we've had some pretty interesting encounters. Recently, we have an episode coming out real soon, and in that episode, you'll see me with a stuffed animal, and I'm asking for the spirits to come play with it, and you clearly hear as plain as day the spirits say "Here, boy," in
Mm,
reference to that stuffed animal. It was a dog, a stuffed dog.
very interesting. So do you have any, I guess, theories around what spirits are, why they're here? Of course, I've heard a lot of different things around, intelligent spirits versus just kind of echoes through time. But just curious if you have anything else that, in all your work, that you have any, theories around why they're here, why they interact with us, why some want to and some don't.
Ah, yes. A lot of times spirits, they don't know they passed on, that they died. But of course, when you leave your body, you're still just like you are right now. You just don't have an actual body that you walk around in, but you're still just like you are
Mhm.
in some cases. And spirits, a lot of them don't realize that, and they start walking around, and time goes by so quick. And some when you pass on, you don't really have any recollection of time, but you don't realize you're gone, and it's painful to not realize you're gone. And I know that because I've worked with spirits that have been so upset because it's like a case we did recently. A spirit was so upset because his loved ones weren't paying attention to him anymore. I mean, they were there, they were going about their lives, not paying attention to him, and he
Mhm.
was trying to tell them, "Hey, I'm here. Look at me. Why don't you pay attention to me anymore?" So he went in there, and of course, I had to do a psychic session with the spirit and let him know that you have passed on, and that I can give a message to them and let them know that you still care. And he says, well, no, I'm not gone because you can see me. I said, no, I can see you because I'm a psychic. They can't see you because, they're a spirit, but you need to move on. And they still love you. They just don't know that you're here. You need to move on. And so he gave me the message to tell them I love them, that I'm leaving. And I was able to help him move on to the light because I can help spirits move on to the light. I can tell the spirits to close your eyes and envision a bright light, and they will in some cases. And I say, now when you see that light, I want you to walk towards it and don't look back, just keep walking. And you got family on the other side that's waiting for you, and it works. I mean, I help them move over, cross over.
Yeah, I've actually I've done a little bit of that myself over the last couple of years. And usually, I equate it to the body, right? When the body dies, the energy that's released with the death of the body itself, that's the energy they're supposed to use to travel to the other side. But like you said, they don't realize they're dead, or they don't want to go, and so they stay here. They miss that opportunity. So instead, they need some energy release from someone else to help them travel on. And so that's what I typically do is build up energy, pull from the earth, from the ethereal plane as well, and then push it out and let them use that as their conduit, if you will, to move on to the next stage. So yes, I do understand the feeling of that. There's definitely a presence in the room when they're there, and then definitely a vacuum in the room when they're not. Um, and so yeah, it's very interesting. Have you ever encountered a spirit that did go on to the next phase, but is coming back for whatever reason to, serve as a guide in some cases to the living, or just to interact with the living in any way?
Yes, I've done cases like that as well. There was one case in particular where let me see if I can remember exactly how this went. It was a female spirit, and she had passed on and already went over, but she was coming back because she felt like she had unfinished business that she needed to clear up. And we went in there and did our routine, our normal investigation type stuff. But during that time, I sat down because when we do the investigations, there's always one part of the evening where I will go in just myself and do a psychic session, and I will sit and communicate with these spirits. And this spirit was back because she was coming back because she wanted to let the family know about some items that was still in the house that they didn't know was there, but she cherished those items. They were her like possessions, and she wanted to make sure those items got kept in good hands. And she kept saying that, I want my family to take care of this stuff. I mean, my family take care of my stuff. And I said, yeah, I'll let them know. And she was trying to get some other messages through. I won't say exactly what she said. It
Oh
was
yeah,
confidential. But after it was over, she told me goodbye, and I said, "Are you crossing over?" She goes, "Yes, I'm leaving." And I'd almost feel like almost like kind of like when the elevator raises up,
hmm,
and you get that. That's what it felt like when she left. It was like she went up, and then you could feel the air leaving.
yeah.
It was some cases it gets heartfelt, kind of makes you almost want to cry because it's like you almost feel what they're going through. In some cases, I can with my psychic abilities. I can feel their happiness and sadness both.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. I've definitely been there a couple different times. It's actually raised in me a little bit of an ethical question of, if a business, let's say a hotel, advertises itself as being haunted, and you go in and there's a spirit there that wants to leave. The business didn't hire you to clear the space, right? So what do you do in this situation? Do you, help the spirit transition, or do you keep it there so that the business can continue to market themselves as being haunted?
Well, what I would do is if the spirit, male or female, doesn't matter, really wanted to cross over but didn't know how or needed help, and I would definitely help the spirit cross over because I made a promise to help every person I could, and I don't care if you're a spirit or an animal or whatever. I'm going to help you cross over because that is the right thing to do. I mean, if it does hurt the hotel business, I mean, I'm sorry about that, but I put people before profit. So
Yep. Well, it's a very good position to take, and it's a very ethical one to take, I think. So yeah. Um, so we've talked a little bit about the experiences you've had as the paranormal, some stuff you've done from a psychic perspective. You mentioned also that you do some psychic healing. Is that like Reiki or is that something else?
well, what I do is it's a process that is written out, and then I put all the words of healings and love, and of course I put my feelings into it, and I do the process as I was taught to do, and as I feel, because a lot of times the ETs and the spirit guides, they will tell me what to do on
Mm-hmm.
paper and tell me what to do just in general because I work with them. And when I do the process, I'm able to take that person's, let's say, arthritis, aches and pains, or even, let's say, they have cancer or leukemia or different things. I'm able to help them get rid of that. With this work, I'm able to heal that person. In some cases, it does take several rounds of healing to get rid of the cancer or leukemia or aches and pains in general, depending on how bad the person needs to, how bad the injury is, how long it takes to heal. But usually within 3 or 4 sessions, the person will write me back saying they've never felt better.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually took a person who had bad eyesight, and I was able to heal their eyesight. I've done anything from headaches to arthritis to I've never done cancer patient yet. I will say I've never done that yet, but I know I could. And I do. There's other people that are in my psychic class because I teach twice a week. I teach a psychic class. One class is a public class for anybody who's listening can take it.
Mm-hmm.
Another class is for MUFON individuals, and some of the students that I've trained in my public class, they're now certified as psychics and healers, and so I'm able to help them in some cases help me do the healings because if you have two people or even 3 or 4 do a healing, that increases the energy
Mm-hmm.
of the healing, so it helps the healing quicker. So let's say you had cancer, 3 or 4 of us from my group, with your permission, would do the healing, and you'd be healed much quicker than if I just did it myself. It would take longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's also very important that the person that's receiving the energy, the healing, has to believe that it will work, right? And I think this is probably true with any form of treatment, whether it be traditional medicine or more energetic type medicine. Is that you, as the recipient of that healing, have to believe that it will work. Very much a situation of mind over matter in that regard. And so, if you believe that whatever you're receiving is going to work and you're going to be healed, you actually take what you're being given, your body takes it, the medicine, the energy, whatever the case may be, and you use it to your benefit to heal that thing within yourself. I think Joe Dispenza is a very big proponent of using your own ability to heal yourself. And so, not trying to take away what you're doing and what you're doing with your class, but you're giving them additional medicine in the form of the additional energy healing that you're providing that they can use to heal themselves, provided they believe that they can do so. But I mean, belief is a very big proponent there. If you think that if you go into it and assume it's not going to work or it's woo woo or whatever the case may be, that's probably what you're going to get out of it. So,
Right. And if anybody wants to take my psychic classes, I'm teaching another round starting January 1st. It's an 8-week course. It's only $100. I don't work for money. I work for love. But you can email me or message me at mufon.chris@yahoo.com, and I'll add you to the list of people. We have up to right now. I'm teaching just in the public class I'm doing now. I got roughly about 20 students, and so next round is January 1st. It's 8 weeks. You get certified. We have a lot of fun. We play games, give away prizes sometimes. So sign up and enjoy.
what are the kind of for folks that may be listening across time zones? What are the days and times typically?
We meet once a week, usually on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central. But I also teach a makeup class on Monday. So if you can't take the Wednesday class, you can attend the Monday class. All classes are recorded, so you can have it to watch as many times as you want to get the information. And yeah, sign up and come take the class. And I teach three levels. I teach a psychic, it's a basic course, 101. And there's a second course, which is the healing course, learning how to heal. And the third course is influencing. Now, the influencing course is where I teach you how to change things like the weather. You can control how to work the weather, how to change a person's behavior patterns. But I teach everybody how to do this for the good, for proper use,
Hmm.
not for negative use.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun. I mean, I've never had one student that's took my course that has failed and not been able to pass. And we have a lot of fun because using these tools, you can literally find missing children, car keys, cell phones. Let's say you lost a dime on the floor somewhere. You could use this to find that 10
Mm.
cents that you lost. And
And
it's a
just
great
like,
tool.
yeah, and just like the people who are receiving the energy for healing have to believe, I think a very important part of this is that if you're going to take the course, you have to accept that it's possible, right? You have to accept that what you're going to learn in the course is possible. If you come into it as a skeptic, you're going to leave as a skeptic.
Right, and I've had students that came in that right off the bat say, well, they know they're going to fail. They know they can't do this. And when I give them their first homework assignment, and then the next week when I grade their assignment, they are completely shocked that they did so well because they took all the knowledge I gave them and they worked with it and didn't think they were going to turn out to be as good as they did, and they were shocked because like what I do is I will take a picture or an item, like it doesn't matter what it is. I'll take something like, let's say this can of soda, and I will give them that as a homework assignment. Their job is to write down and describe that can of soda or a picture, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And they don't think they're going to do as good. But when I grade their papers, they are shocked that how many of them they were shocked that they were spot on or very, very close.
Yep. And it's really just, trusting your intuition at the end of the day, right? That gut feeling that tells you whatever you need to know. And that's, so much of us go through life trusting that gut feeling. You're sitting in a meeting and you ask a question, and after the meeting, the boss is like, "Wow, I would have never thought to ask that question." It's that gut feeling that said you should ask it. It was going to lead you somewhere good. So, I think probably a lot of people trust or experience the psychic side of themselves every day, all of their life. They just don't have a label they could put on it, right? They don't think of it as being psychic. They just think it's their gut reaction, their intuition. But yeah, I mean, I think that, once you realize and you put a label on something, then you can start to develop that skill a little bit more. Just like if you wanted to be able to lift 100 pounds, what would you do? You would start small and you would work up in your weight until you got to 100 pounds. Same way with this. I think if you realize that you want to achieve it, you can take small steps to actually achieve it.
Right. And everybody has a psychic ability inside them. In fact, I'll go ahead and state this right now that everybody listening, I guarantee you, I will prove that you are psychic. So,
Well, that's a pretty big guarantee. So, Chris, we're just about at time. I try to keep these shows right around 35 minutes to an hour, no more than that. Just want to give any opportunity that if we didn't talk about something that you wanted to talk about, or if you wanted to mention something on the show.
um, yeah, I will say that I do work with a lot of different people, individuals. I work several areas of MUFON. I do paranormal investigations on television, YouTube, Facebook, different places. I do a lot of podcast interviews. I'm constantly busy, of course, with my 3 days of 2 days, I should say, of teaching psychic classes.
Mhm.
And so, with all the work I do, it's really been a great experience because I started out years ago as a grocery employee, working as a grocery bagger, and since then I've really got my career really skyrocketing in a way.
Mm.
Of course, working with the ETs and making a promise to help every person I could, and I still live up to that. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on in life. If somebody needs help, I will go help them. If they need a healing, I will heal them, and I never stop. And I will say that someday, some this may all come to an end. But until then, I'm going to keep helping people, keep doing all the work, and I've got a lot of new paranormal shows coming up. So for those of you who want to stay tuned, go to Facebook, YouTube, television, look up something Wicked Paranormal Investigations. We got some new stuff coming up. I got some movies coming up, a couple of them in theaters coming. I got a book coming up too. It's called Fear of Knowledge. The book will be available on Amazon Prime, Barnes and Noble. Talks about my journey from encounters as a kid up to where I'm at now. That's going to be great to read, and just a lot of stuff going on. So stay tuned and follow, and like and subscribe to all of our stuff, and get notified when new things come.
Fantastic. And if you had to say, up until now, with all the experience that you've had, have you learned anything significant that you could sum up in like, one or two sentences?
Well, yeah, I have learned something very, very important, and that is never give up because sometimes life can seem like nothing's going right. However, I've learned that all the things I didn't get out of life that I wanted, if I'd have gotten those things, I would have been here where I'm at right now, including doing this interview.
Yeah.
Because even the bad moments in life lead you to a better door that opens up for.
Mm. That's fantastic and very profound. Thank you very much, Chris. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for coming on the show. Really appreciate the experiences that you've had, some of your ideas and understandings around what this kind of stuff is. And while I have actually had a chance and opportunity to go to your YouTube channel, which just a reminder for everybody is Something Wicked Paranormal Investigations. If you Google that, it'll take you to the YouTube channel. There's also a Facebook page, but I've had a chance to go and watch that video that he spoke about, with the little stuffed dog, and the spirit box says, "Here, boy." I mean, it's clear. It's right there in your face. So some very interesting stuff on their YouTube channel. I highly recommend everybody to check it out. Again, that's Something Wicked Paranormal Investigations, SWPI. Thank you all again for tuning in for the second episode. No, I won't continue to say the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, but I'm just so excited to be able to get things started. Um, and really looking forward to seeing who all I get an opportunity to talk with about their experiences, about the ideas they have, etc. So thank you all again for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe, follow, like, notification bell. Again, depending on which way you're listening to this, on YouTube or as a podcast, so that you don't miss a new episode when they come out every 2 weeks. The next episode after this is going to be with Debs Shakti, which is, you heard me mention her in the first episode when I was speaking with David about some experience stuff, but she is an amazing person, has been doing what she is doing for many, many years. I would compare the stuff that she does as similar to the things that Dolores Cannon did with the people that she worked with, but Debs does a lot more beyond what Dolores did. So we're going to be talking with her about her own personal experiences and maybe some experiences that she's had working with other people. So thank you again. Again, if you have your own experience, you can email me. And yep, I'll talk to you all in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for sticking around. Have a great rest of your day, week, month, year, whatever the case may be.